This is the biggest political scandal and the biggest fire happening in the country right now that you haven't heard about. At the behest of Donald Trump, Republicans in Congress just slashed Medicaid, just slashed food assistance programs for kids, all to give money to billionaires. That's deeply unpopular, and folks are asking, how do the Republicans think that they're going to win the upcoming elections? And the answer is the Republicans don't think they're going to win the upcoming elections, and so what they're going to do is rig the rules and disenfranchise millions of voters so that they can remain in power. And they're doing it in the coming days in the state of Texas.
Right now, Americans all across the country are thinking about Texas communities that are recovering from devastating floods. Everyone, besides Texas Governor Greg Abbott, that is. Because instead of setting partisanship and political priorities aside to support Texans affected by this tragedy, Abbott is using the floods as a distraction so he can execute a plan crafted by Donald Trump himself to rig the midterm map for Republicans. Today, we'll lay out how Democrats are fighting back against the Republican plot to rig Texas elections. I'm Hannah Moldavan, Deputy Communications Director for the Democrats, and your host for today. It's July 18th, and this is the Democrats' Daily Blueprint. Congressman Greg Casar, who you just saw explain what's going on in Texas, is absolutely right. With Trump and the Republican budget bill pulling at historically unpopular levels, Republicans aren't trying to win fair and square. They're trying to rig the system by redrawing the maps to pick up as many as 5 seats in Texas because they know they can't win on their records. Here's Trump saying the quiet part out loud.
This would be the biggest one, and
so
that'll be fun.
Are you calling in for a complete redrawing of the congressional map ahead of next year?
Just a very simple redrawing. We pick up 5 seats.
At least Trump is willing to say the quiet part out loud. Meanwhile, Texas Governor Greg Abbott won't even admit to and clearly has no shame about using a mass casualty event in his own state to further his extreme political agenda and disenfranchise Texas voters. Democrats are not going to let them get away with this without a fight. Today, DNC Chair Ken Martin is on the ground in Houston, meeting with leaders in the Texas legislature. He's made clear that the DNC will continue to fight for fair representation and to work tirelessly to force Republicans to abandon their blatant power grab. Because here's the thing. Republicans have pulled off this scheme before. Last cycle, they ran the same playbook in North Carolina, redrawing the map in such a way that 3 Democratic representatives, Wiley Nickel, Kathy Manning, and Jeff Jackson, were gerrymandered out of their seats. Here's Jeff Jackson himself.
Just real quick, about 2 months ago, I told you I was pretty sure I was about to get drawn out of my district, and it probably just happened. 2 draft maps are out, and both of them draw me out of my district and put me in one that's totally unwinnable. If either of these maps become final, it means I'm toast in Congress. This is the majority party in the state legislature in North Carolina basically saying, we want another member of our party in Congress, so we're going to redraw the map to take out Jeff. I'm not the only one. I've got 2 or 3 colleagues who are going to be in the same situation.
And here's Wiley Nickel, who used a creative way to break through the noise and draw attention to politicized redistricting.
Congressman Wiley Nickel plunging from 13,000 feet above Rayford, skydiving in an attempt to bring attention to his gerrymandering bill.
If I can bring attention to it by jumping out of a plane, that's what I'll do.
That's crazy. As North Carolina showed, Republicans can and will rig the game in their favor. And that's why we need to make sure they don't succeed this time around in Texas. We need to be out in front of this issue, calling out the shameless ploy in Texas and making sure every American stands up for fair maps and voting rights. Because without a fair map in Texas, Republicans will be able to more easily ram through unpopular bills, like the one they just did in Congress that strips healthcare and food assistance away from millions of Americans. And as the party of democracy, of making sure that everyone's voice will be heard, Democrats won't let this go without a fight. Already, Texas Democrats are going on the airwaves and using their platforms to turn public opinion against the Trump-Abbott gerrymander. We need to keep fighting. Yesterday on Capitol Hill, Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee rammed through the nominations of Emil Bove and Jeanine Pirro. You may remember Pirro from Saturday Night Live.
Here to comment is Jeanine Pirro. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro, and I just
just want to thank the brave sponsors who stuck with me despite the accusations by the radical loony left. To companies like Jeep, I say thank you. And to Mitsubishi, I say domo arigato, Cobra Kai. Sorry, Daniel-san, that's a wax off.
I just want to tell you, you don't have to be so loud. I can hear you.
Oh, no can do, bud.
While Cecily Strong is hilarious, the appointment of Pirro and Bove really is no laughing matter. As a senior official in Trump's Department of Justice, Bove encouraged his colleagues to ignore court orders in order to carry out Trump's directives. He's so unqualified that over 900 former Justice Department prosecutors have signed a letter urging the Senate to reject his nomination. And Pirro is another Trump lackey who wants nothing more than to carry out Trump's agenda of revenge and retribution. She has a track record of spreading conspiracy theories while an anchor on Fox News and defending violent January 6th insurrectionists. Democrats on the committee refused to sit by as Republicans rubber stamped these horrendous nominations. So, led by Senator Cory Booker, they walked out in protest.
This is wrong. To violate your own rules without going by the mandates of the parliamentarian. This is unbelievable. There's a way to do this. If you want to force this through, if you want to ram this through, there's a way to do it in accordance to the rules as spelled out by the parliamentarian.
So for today's What You Can Do, we're calling on everyone to reach out to their senator, especially if you live in a state with a Republican, and encourage them to vote no on Emile Bove and Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for joining us today for this episode of the Daily Blueprint, and happy Friday. We'll be with you right here on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern on the DNC's YouTube page. Until Monday.